Hi all of you. Thank you for tuning in again today. This is Ali. I'm back with another video, and today I have Miss Athena with me. It's really kind of her to join us today. She is from FRS Recruitment, and she is one of those people who really helped me to get to Ireland and helped me get my registrar post. So the reason why I have invited today is not because I am sponsored or I have been given any sort of financial aid for this video. It is because that she really truly was one of those persons who really contacted me, and she was with me throughout this whole process, and she really made me feel comfortable, and she was really helpful. So I believe she is the right person to help all of you out there. So, yep, I'm gonna now leave the floor to Athena to please tell us more about it through this recruitment process. Yes, Athena, please.
What a wonderful introduction. I couldn't ask for a higher recommendation. You're living proof of the success of our working relationship, Dr. Ali. So my name is Ethna Vaughan Witz. I work with a company called FRS Recruitment, which is a wholly owned Irish company. And I am a principal healthcare recruiter with them, specializing in the recruitment of doctors into Irish hospitals, both the public and the private sector. So our company is a professional supplier to the HSE. The HSE is the Health Service Executive, the government department that manages and funds and runs our public health system here in Ireland. The hospitals that I recruit for are in the main university teaching hospitals. They have two main intake dates in line with their training rotation. So basically every year at the beginning of January, there are posts that will be offered and accepted, and every July, mid-rotation, 6 months training rotation, there will be posts offered and accepted. The July rotation in the main tends to be the busiest rotation. So in Ireland, we have our universities training our medical students, and a lot of these students would be trained in the hospital. But what we also need is experienced standalone non-training physicians. In the main, these people come from worldwide locations. So Dr. Ali has come to us. We recruit a lot of people from Sudan, Malaysia, Pakistan, India. Some people come from America, Canada. It's a worldwide attraction. And I think the attraction for the doctors considering working in Ireland is the fact that they will be working in Western medicine practices through English, state-of-the-art hospitals. It opens a lot of opportunity. Of course, we have our postgraduate training, Royal College of Physicians, etc. here in Ireland. A lot of the doctors who come to Ireland come with a view to eventually increasing their own professional qualification and looking to enroll in one of our training courses, basic specialty training, specialist training, and to make sure that they have the skills and the experience to gain their memberships furthering their career. So the doctors that I recruit tend to be at registrar level, not exclusively, but in the main, because some of the SHO posts are filled by the training colleges. Registrars with 4+ years experience who have an interest in working overseas and who have good, solid clinical experience to bring with them. They join a multidisciplinary team. Dr. Ali can give you first-hand experience of that. They join a multidisciplinary team that is consultant-led, and they perform the functions of their role in the teaching hospitals throughout Ireland.
Right. Okay. May I intervene? I'm just going to ask a quick follow-up question. Like, I have a question. I mean, I would know the answer, but I just want the answer to come from you so our audience can just hear it from you. For a person like me, I was settled in Malaysia. I had my own house. I had my wife working at the same time. My kids are going to school. So why do you think I need to make that move where I have to move my whole life from one country to another country? Why do you think I would be enticed to make that move? What is so lucrative about the opportunity in Ireland, considering the current situation? So what do you think that is?
Well, I suppose you can answer from a first-hand opinion, but from the recruiter who brings the doctors in, the answers the doctors give me. Okay, so depending on what part of the world you're coming from, the salary is quite good here. That's the first thing.
Right.
Secondly, it's the opportunity to practice medicine through English in an English-speaking environment, which in time, you know, depending on your career trajectory and your own plans, but if you work in an English-speaking hospital with consultants that have trained in the US or the UK or Europe, you're getting best practice. You're being exposed to cutting-edge technologies. You're giving yourself a springboard into the UK market if you want to live in a bigger country where there may be more, where there are more training opportunities, or USA. Any experience gained in Ireland is very highly thought of if you wanted to move to the likes of the UK, the USA, or Canada. So I think it must be the career move is one point. The other thing I think for people with families is the quality of life in Ireland. Ireland is an underpopulated country. I think our population at the moment is standing at 5 million, and we haven't had that population since the famine in the mid-1800s. So it's a welcoming country, and again, you can confirm that with me. You have first-hand experience. It's a welcoming country. It's a safe country to live in. If you're coming with family, there's a very high standard of education for children in Ireland, and education is free. There are fee-paying schools, but 90% of the population go through the public health or the public education system very successfully. There's good access to universities. At the moment, Ireland is experiencing a housing crisis. That would be one negative. Having said that, I have never had a doctor that didn't find somewhere to live. So if you are working as a medical professional on a good salary in Ireland, you are considered a preferable tenant, perhaps, than somebody in less stable employment. But the pinch points moving to Ireland at the moment, I think, would be finding somewhere to live initially. You might have to make a compromise, come on your own, and then source a house to live with your family. But in a nutshell, I think there's good professional scope for doctors, and Ireland is a great place to live. And I say that not as an Irish person. Let me qualify that. I've lived in the UK for 10 years. I've lived in Switzerland for 2, and I managed to persuade my husband to come to live in Ireland, and he would never go back. So I am not completely unbiased.
Okay, good to know. I just have 2 follow-up questions. We're gonna wrap this up really soon. I know you're very busy.
Sure.
So one of the question I think is really important, especially for people coming from all the developing world, would be about the rehabilitation program in Ireland, how they are willing to rehabilitate you within the country. You were telling me this initially when we spoke as well regarding the visa stamps and how it works. Would you like to tell us something about that as well?
So there's a bit of compliance. So if you're an experienced doctor from overseas and you're thinking, I'm going to come to Ireland, there are certain steps. So number 1, you have to get your Irish Medical Council registration.
Okay.
You can apply for registration. Unless you're a consultant, you apply for general registration. General registration will allow you to work in Ireland up to the level of senior registrar. If you continue your professional development and you want to become a consultant, you then need to apply for specialist registration. You also then, depending on the part of the world you're coming from, you need to have your English language certificates. This is a mandatory requirement from the public teaching hospital system. You need an IELTS exam or an OET, Occupational English exam. If you're coming to Ireland and you need a work permit, very straightforward process. Europeans don't need a work permit. UK citizens don't need a work permit. A work permit is your entitlement to work in the state, and they're issued by the Department of Enterprise and Jobs for skills that are in demand or, hard to fill roles. Automatically, a hospital is issued with a general work permit for a doctor. The work permit that the doctor arriving into Ireland will be issued with will be a 2-year multi-site permit. And that permit will allow that doctor to work in Ireland for 2 years on that one permit application. After which they can then apply for their stamp 4. Their stamp 4 will be the first step on their way to holding dual nationality. You get a stamp 4 on your passport, which means you don't need a work permit. Once you have a stamp 4, you can then begin a naturalization process, which takes another 12 to 14 months. So there are two important pieces of paper. The first is the work permit, which is free to the candidate. The candidate does not pay for this. The hospital applies for it, and when it's issued, they're sent to the candidate. The candidate then uses that work permit if they need a visa to come into the country. So, for example, if you're a Malaysian passport, you don't need a visa. If you travel on a South African passport, you don't need a visa. If you're traveling on a European passport, you don't need either work permit or visa. If you're coming from other parts of the world, you have to get a visa stamp to allow you enter the country. Once you're in the country, then you register with the immigration board, and that's it. That's
Right.
pretty much it.
Sounds good. And one last question before we wrap up. That is the most important of all that everybody would want to know is the finances. I know it's pretty much HSC, everything is standardized.
Yes.
But I would really love to know your point of view, how, because initially we spoke, one of the reasons why people want to come to Ireland is the doctor's salary is really considered significant. So what is your take on that? How much can we think of taking home, and your point of view on that?
Okay, so it's very difficult to say what each person will take home. That's not a tricky answer. I'll explain why.
Okay.
Everybody's tax status is different. If you are a married, male or female doctor, and your spouse is not working, you'll have a tax bracket that will include their tax-free allowance, which means you get their tax-free allowance. If you have dependent children, if you're paying for children to attend third-level college. So lots of things influence your tax status. The salary that you're going to get in a HSE hospital is based, as a registrar, there are six points on the registrar salary scale, as well as a basic salary. Now, you can find that on the HSE website. I don't have those figures to hand, actually. I should have.
No problem. I'll
But,
link in the description. No problem about
okay,
that.
So you move 1 point on the salary scale for each year spent working in a public teaching hospital. Right. You will have to verify that. And working with an agent like me, I will send you the document that you need to send to your hospital. You've experienced this, Dr. Ali, which will allow you to verify your service to ensure you end up on the correct point of scale. So as well as your basic salary, which the point of scale will quote, there is also additional payments for, like if you're working on sociable hours, if you're working night shift, if you're working overtime, etc. So I think on average, you can expect to earn between 95 and 100,000 a registrar with 4 to 5 years experience. And that figure is before tax. So the tax will depend on your own personal circumstance.
Right. Okay. So I know I said that would be the last, but I just remembered one more thing. So basically, I still remember when you saw my resume and then you said, Dr. Ali, the reason why I'm calling you is that I very strongly believe that you can secure a job in Ireland. Even though I had so many people calling me and then they were like, I was not able to get any interviews at the time, but you were one of those few people who called me personally, rang me up, and then told me that I'm really confident I would be able to help you secure a very decent post. And I was kind of skeptical initially, but anyhow, everything ended well. So another thing that I would like you to ask, that when you see a person's resume, what is actually that you're looking at, and what do you think that really influences an employer's decision to hire that person on paper initially? I think that is where your job comes in, that you want the person to be hired at least on paper. The next thing is the ball is in my court if I'm able to impress the employers during my interview or not. So yeah.
Really, I suppose my own background, I've been recruiting doctors for over 10 years. I have a master's in human resource management, a degree in psychology, all of which enables me to review a CV quite quickly and accurately. Two things drive my decision. It has to be the skills and experience of a candidate. I have had candidates ring me up to say that they have 1 year post-internship experience. What are their chances of getting a job in Ireland? And I would truthfully tell them, slim, because it's a highly competitive market. But if I get a doctor who has 4+ years experience in a public teaching hospital, if I think of emergency medicine, for example, your speciality, If you have that experience, I know the market is short for these people. If you're registered with the IMC, if you have your English language test, I then can confidently tell you I will work with you and find you a job. I don't believe in telling people what they want to hear. I tell them what they need to hear. If a young doctor comes to me and says, I think I'll register with the IMC, I have 8 months post-internship experience, I would tell them, give yourself another 12 months. Don't waste the registration fee. Wait till you have more experience. It's a tough market to break into.
Very important point. Very important point. I have few people actually contacting me. I have this Irish Medical Council registration for almost 2 years, but I have not been able to get a job.
And they have to pay to renew it.
Yes,
And it's very difficult. And it's very difficult at a distance. I think the most important thing, if you're looking for a job in Ireland, is to build up the trust and rapport that we did. So that you on the other side of the world know that you're going to get the right advice and honest advice, and that somebody's looking after your case.
Good to know. Thank you so much for your invaluable input, Ethna. I'm sure we will be in touch again. So, yeah, thank you so much.
Not at all. Good to chat.